Imagine your child had a life-threatening heart condition and desperately needed medical attention. Now imagine that the only state cath lab machine in an entire province is broken. That's what's been happening in the Eastern Cape since late last year. We were there in March this year and the health department vowed it would resolve this issue. 3 months later, and the new equipment that was delivered 6 weeks ago is still in storage. In March this year, we investigated the cardiology crisis in the Eastern Cape, where the only fully functional catheterization laboratory for the whole province has not been operational since October 2018. A cath lab is a specialized theatre used for the diagnosis of heart disease and allows for life-saving heart surgeries like stents, angioplasties or valve replacements to be performed in a less invasive manner. Procedures done in a cath lab are not considered surgical procedures, as there is no large incision to open the chest. During our first investigation, the HOD at the Eastern Cape Department of Health was adamant that the problem was being solved.
Actually, the fully functional cath lab is going to be in place in the next 9 weeks.
In spite of the HOD's promise, this cath lab is not up and running. The situation is still as dire as explained by cardiology specialist Dr. Pepeta in March, especially for children born with congenital heart disease.
Yeah, a newborn with a blocked vessel doesn't have a couple of months, as a day or two.
And what happens to those children?
If they are lucky, they will get to another central hospital, but they may not always get in. So again, they will die.
For paediatric patients, the situation has gravely deteriorated. Not only is there no cath lab, but access to paediatric heart surgery has been severely limited since February due to staffing issues. There has been no specialist surgeon or anaesthetist contracted to the state to perform the procedures. The current list for children waiting for heart surgery is over 80 patients, and the waiting list for treatment in the cath lab is 64. Both of these numbers are rising every day that these services are not available in the Eastern Cape. One of the children gravely affected by this crisis is Yulan Sakman's son, Junior. In March, Yulan was told that Junior needed urgent diagnostics to be done in a cath lab, but the facilities were not available, so he would simply have to wait. Dr. Mahlubandile Ngcele is a state pediatric cardiologist at PE Provincial Hospital.
This is a different complex heart condition. The blood that goes from the heart to the rest of the body, the head, the rest of the body, the legs, is deoxygenated blood.
Junior is now 10 months old and has spent almost his entire life in hospital waiting for treatment.
If the cath labs were working and the surgery was going on, he would have gotten his surgery, not wait for this long.
Junior's mom, Yulan, has lived in the hospital with him the whole time. She has had to quit her job, move cities, and hand over the care of her 60-year-old daughter to her mother.
It's painful to have a child who have a problem. Sometimes he was turning blue, sometimes he's fine. Sometimes he want to eat, sometimes he don't want to eat. I have to look after my child 24/7. Every time they told me, they will do it on Monday. And when the time comes on Monday, they say I have to wait another week.
Rolene Wagner was appointed as the Acting Deputy Director General for the Eastern Cape Department of Health in February this year. Yulan has been sitting in hospital for 10 months. What went wrong there? So much more could have been done.
Well, I think the difficult thing that faces any country, not just South Africa, is that there's always a demand for care. And with the limited resources, it's not always possible to do every child exactly when it is required. But we do our best to try and do the child within that window of opportunity when the operation can be done.
They say every time it's emergency, emergency, emergency. But I think myself, Junior is also emergency, so they have to help him also.
In an attempt to alleviate the cath lab crisis, the department has put a deal in place with Netcare to use their private cath labs. But again, access is limited.
When we realized that we are now going to be facing a longer period and that these emergencies are likely to occur, that is when we entered an arrangement, and Netcare was the service provider that met the requirements.
Are you then seeing, as many kids in the private sector as you would be seeing had this cath lab been up and running?
Well, when our cath lab is up and running, we are able to utilize it from Monday to Friday. At present, we are only able to do 2 slates per week. So obviously we would not be seeing as many as we would have had our own lab been up and running.
One of the patients urgently awaiting heart surgery is Lungile Mogoele. He was born with congenital heart disease, which requires regular treatment. He is now 9 years old. And after waiting 8 months to get diagnostic catheterizations done, his condition has greatly deteriorated.
He has pulmonary hypertension, which means the pressure is high on the lungs. Surgery needs to be done as soon as possible. If it's left unattended, then it goes on to, to become irreversible. But like I'm saying, Lungile needs a surgery today or tomorrow, because if we wait too long, we might miss the boat.
As the Department of Health takes months to try and find solutions to this crisis, the ones suffering are the patients, and at the coalface are the parents like Lungile's mom, Tshepang Mogoele.
Ha keta valley le hola ha hole bana dithaka tsa hae di kholo ho yena e ka ngwana na le 6 or 7 years empa fela ingwela ke sikene motswering
Jolo ho bapala le bana ba bang wa khona kapo
wa khona ba to khathala ka pele jwale o bezo ga ska matha until a etsetswa a fumana surgery.
On the 27th of March, we received this email from the Department of Health proudly inviting us to come and do a follow-up story as the cath lab had arrived. It is now July and the cath lab equipment is still sitting in these crates at PE Provincial Hospital waiting to be installed. What has happened?
Part of being able to install and commission the equipment required us to make adjustments to the infrastructure. And it took longer than expected because ensuring that we complied with the regulations that govern supply management and procurement, it takes long.
While the cath lab equipment sits in these crates, the state is paying Netcare 193,000 Rand a month for pediatric procedures, and they will continue paying until the cath lab is up and running.
So we have met with our service providers. We will be handing the site over to them next Monday on the 15th of July. They then anticipate that it will take 5 weeks to complete the enabling works, and when we hand over to the second provider who will do the installation of the cath lab, and they will take 3 weeks. So our predicted completion date and handover to us is the 9th of September. Now that we know that the new date is going to be the 9th of September, we're going to have to go back to the private sector now and look at when their cath labs are available for us to utilize in the same way that we've done before.
If this cath lab is actually up and running by September, it will have taken the Department of Health almost 11 months to solve this problem. In order to start performing pediatric heart surgery again, a private pediatric cardiology surgeon and anaesthetist have been contracted to provide limited access to pediatric heart surgery after 6 months of interrupted services. So, Eileen, when will then these surgeries officially begin?
Our professors have scheduled the resumption for Thursday, the 11th of July.
Even though pediatric surgery will resume, at this stage there are only 2 surgeries scheduled per week, and with such a massive backlog, it'll take months to catch up.
So I put that question to the clinicians, and they believe that if we can get the cath lab up and running, restore the surgery, they will do their best to try and eliminate that backlog that we have at the moment. Again, each case will be dealt with depending on its complexity.
After finally getting treated at the Netcare Cath Lab, Junior has been transferred to Red Cross Hospital for open heart surgery. But his mom has still not been given a date.
I just want the doctors to do the operation so we can go home and we can be a family at home. I want him to be fine, that's all.
Even though Dr. Ngele is clear that Lungile needs immediate open heart surgery, his mom has still heard nothing from the Department of Cardiology.
Ke kopa ngwana ka a mpa fumanele thuso e potlakileng hoba boye bophelo ba hae bo matsohong a surgery.